Welcome to How I Got Successful podcast. In today's podcast, our guest is Shweta Agrawal Mayne. She is a manager in financial accounting and advisory services in Grant Thornton, Ireland. But before starting this podcast, I invite you to listen this podcast not for information but for transformation. Listen for just one insight which can actually change your life. Enjoy this podcast. Let's welcome Shweta Agrawal Mayne. Welcome, Shweta. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for finding me on LinkedIn and connecting with me. Thank you.
As you are having a great journey behind you, you have started as an article assistant and now you are a manager at Grant Thornton, Ireland. So I would love to know your story from your childhood to Great Thornton, Ireland. How you started and from where you belong and now how you reached Ireland and how you got this job. So I would love to know that story.
Sure. It's a long one, so you can just sit back, relax.
Yeah.
I'm from Mumbai, Calcutta in the state of West Bengal. And as kids, we were part of a very, very humble family. So it was by humble, I mean, there were two sisters and my dad and mom. And my mom was a homemaker. And my dad, he was still the earning member and everything. So yeah, I was touched on the very beginning. So when we were kids and my mom, my parents were looking to put us in, admit us in schools. They were looking for, there was this very good English medium school just very close to our house. And my dad, he was advised by one of our relatives that, your kids cannot really make it to to such fine schools. You should just admit them into some Hindi medium, just a regional language and stuff. So my mom heard that. So my mom has always been like, she has great personality. So, and through time, we just kind of, learned my dad as well. So my dad wasn't financially, we weren't financially so sound and everything. So we were living in a house of, a two-bedroom house, and it's a very small and kind of congested kind of a space, but we were happy in that. But we even had a shared bathroom we using, with another neighbor. So I come from that kind of living, structure. My dad was still, process of how they raise four girls. My mom was from Patna in Bihar, and she's a homemaker, as I said, and she had little to fairness education, and English wasn't the language she had learned. Now, in those times, to admit kids to school, you had to go special hours and all that, so they had to be trained before going in. So my mom worked on that. She first learned and when, made us such a burn, when she used to do all the household work and she had no house at all. I was telling that story when we grew up, hearing on that, it's been so inspiring. So I'd say when we were in school, in the earlier, in the primary school, I was not like the top student, but I was among a good, academically good students. I'd say it's only in the secondary school that I kind of went down, and probably there were a lot of factors. As a person, I'm an expressive person, but I was always very low in confidence, so I was more reserved because of that. And I think there were so many other distractions, and when you're growing up, you see the world and you see so many different things. So I was just observing and containing everything, and I think I let those distractions get to me and everything. So my grades fell. And then, so I wasn't so bright a student, and that contributed more towards making me go in my shell, or, kind of contributed me not getting to the top of my grades and hitting it and all of that. So yeah, that's been my story in school. So they have board exams in standard 10 and standard 12. On the board exams, it wasn't like I was, I came at the shining colors, I literally just passed. But then I knew that I have calibers, I was not getting the direction. I'd say, in my shell, that I was just not being able to come out of it and, say direction and find my path. Well, again, as I said, being from having a background, so when I came to college, I was like, okay, now I want to stand on my feet and I'll do something myself and, kind of support myself financially for college. But then college fees are quite high, so you want to hit the right, go to the right place. And then my grades weren't so best, so amazing that I would get the top colleges. So I had to settle for a very mediocre kind of a college. But what I decided was I'll start earning my career, earning my way through. Those times it was like, you want to get pocket money from your dad and all that. And then, every time you'd ask, you'd be like, okay, what do you need it for? Because I'm putting them outside until you afford all your, everything you want. Those are the times in your teenage when you say you want this and you get attracted to this and you're like, okay, I want to get ahead with my friends and be with them, or like, you're lagging behind and all. I joined a telecalling kind of a job in an age or a call center, and I was supporting my college and tuition fees and like that. It's just one statement from one of my teachers from when I was on tuitions. It really stood the meeting. It really did something to me. So when we were in the class, his teacher was explaining how it's important to kind of feel, and you should train yourself and get up on your feet and like that. And it is like, a lot of you think you're independent, but in rural terms, you're not actually yet. And then there's only one person with a class who I know who really is independent, pointed out to me, and I was like, I had my heart, literally, I felt like my heart was going to, pound out, and all the everyone was looking at me. But then, that moment, it really felt like, okay, I'm doing something good. So whatever I'm doing, at least I'm finding my place and I'm doing something good. So that kind of gave me a kick. Again, another transforming incident that happened when I decided I'll go for a professional course. So while in college, second year of college, it's not like I was, I already had plans for myself or I knew what I wanted to do and things like that. But I was still not sure. I was just going with the flow. So while I was in the call center, I used to do an evening shift. I think it started 6 p.m. and it ended 11:30 or something like that. It was kind of a sales thing, so we'd have to pitch and get sales on something. Okay, so while I was on one of the calls, one of the supervisors on the floor, she kind of patted in the back of my seat, and she was like, "We need sales and all that," and she kept doing that, and it was a bit annoying. And I was like, "Don't do that," and she kept doing that as if the way you're treated is, it does a lot to you. So it actually felt like, am I in the right place? And is this what I want to do? And is this how I want to take my journey ahead? And that's when I thought that, this is not for me. And if I want to start with a respect to something, I'm not trying to demean those who are in the job, but I'm just saying it's kind of an individual space and decision in mind frame. So for me, it was like, I wouldn't like someone do whatever they wanted. At least I wanted people to respect me and all. And that's when I thought about it, reflected at home, and I was like, okay, I have to do some professional course. So I was a Converse accountancy honors graduate, not graduate yet. So I was in my second year of accountancy honors. So that's when I started thinking, what are the options I should be looking at? And there were two that I kind of narrowed down to. One was travel accountancy, which was the most, it still is, I think, one of the toughest curriculum in India. And then the other was Master's in Business Administration, MBA from a reputed institution. There are a lot of MBAs out there, but it has to be from a reputable institution if you want to find your place. So I kind of weighed my options, and I wanted to go for an MBA, but the fees for a reputed institution were really, really high, and I knew I couldn't afford it. It would be like getting an education loan and then paying it back after you get a job and all of that. So I just came back to, I was like, okay, I work hard and I can see it. But I knew I was not the brightest student and I had to put a lot of effort in. But I said, no, this is it. I want to do it. I want to go for it. And so that's how I enrolled in my second year of college. I enrolled into CA, and I was exempt from the foundation exams. So it was just the intermediate and my actually years. Now, the intermediate exams were tough enough, but that's when I kind of became serious in my curriculum, and my second year grades were very good. I was again supporting myself with the job that I was doing, and obviously I was taking some bits here and there from dad. So it was going well. I was putting in the effort and I was more, reserved to myself and just doing my thing, going tuition, coming back, studying and doing all of that. My intermediate, I cleared it, I think, in the second go. But the first time when I cleared, I was again so low on confidence. But then, it was just one paper that I didn't meet the success rate, which is 40%. And just for that one paper, I didn't pass both the groups. They have two groups and like three papers in each. So I appeared the second time and I got through. It was a big thing for me, and I was like in tears and all of that. It was a big celebration inside me, and I was like, okay, then I can do this and all of that. So now we had to do 3 years of training, articleship training with a firm. Articleship training is mostly you get a stipend, which is like really low, and I was like, no, I have to do a job. I kind of articled with someone who would also pay me. Yeah, so the job was more like accounting and all that. I started on that. During my finals, what I realized is I was going to tuition and then I was going to work and then getting so tired and then coming back and I had no time to study and all. And then going again next day to tuition. I was literally sleeping in tuition onwards. So it was so hectic. And I went on and on. I appeared for my exams, I failed. Again, just to give prospect to the guys who don't know about Indian Chartered Accountancy course, the success rate for Indian Chartered Accountancy course is, at those times, it ranged between 8 to 12%, or maybe 15, 16, maximum was 16%. So is there 100 people appearing, in only 15, maximum 15 or 16 of them who would pass. So with that kind of, a course which was so intimidating, you had to give all your time and energy and mind space and, be prepared, which I realized later after appearing a couple of times. I realized I wasn't doing that. And my mom was losing hope on me. And she was like, I still remember, she was like, I think you can't do it. After one of my results, she was like, I don't think this is for you. And I think you should move on now. Because, when you're studying and you're just literally in your shell for a month or two before your exams, it has something to do with your family as well. The family plays a huge role because they're doing things via the cooking, they have to support you and all of that. So my mom by then was like, if you really are into it, you should unclear it by now. I think you should look for options. But that's the time my dad sat with me and he was like, so there's this one statement my dad has always echoed to us. He used to say in Hindi and John say it in English. So what he used to say is, you're no different than anyone else in the world. So like you have 2 eyes, you have a nose, you have 2 ears, you have a mouth. It's just the same for others. And they have 2 hands and 2 legs. That's what you have. And you have a ring. So it's really not different from anyone else in the world. So he said, if you want to do something, you just have to go for it. At that moment when I was, freezing, I wasn't sure what I want to do, if I want to continue or not. If I don't pass CA, what is my fate? So my dad sat with me and he was like, you'll be able to do it. I have faith in you. Just go for it and that's it. That's what he said. And that really, it kind of made me sit in that moment and think. And to be honest, I think there were a lot of distractions at home also. And there was like disturbances and all that. And there were like 4 sisters and so much going on. So I think that also has a lot to do with everything. So I decided then, one of my sisters was at that point in Mumbai, she was doing a job. So I then decided that I'm going to live with her for the next couple months and prepare in isolation. I left my job then and I was like, I'll just prepare and this will be my final try and I just go for it. So all this while I was literally just going to work and pressurizing myself and shutting myself in a room for like months, not taking my phone, like switching off my phone. Everything has an impact on your mental health as well. So I think that really plays on your grades and all. It showed on my grades. So when I went to Mumbai and my dad supported me, my mom did as well. Of course, there was a great support from my sister also. So that was a different environment from here. It was more like open, liberal, and I was doing what was right for me. There wasn't anyone else at home to be distracted with. My friends, my close friends weren't there in the city. So I wasn't really pressurizing myself too much, but I was focused and determined. I had already cleared one group, I forgot to mention. It was just one. We had 2 groups and in the final it was 4 people each. So I was just, the second group was what I have to go with. So then I cleared when I cleared, and that's when I realized that, yeah, I'm a chartered accountant now, so now it's a big team. The next journey would be to appear for campus interviews and for interviews and get a job. A lot of people think, and I'd like to probably mention this, that if you're passing at the first attempt, you're a star and you just, make everything out of your career, or in the second attempt or third attempt. And if you're going beyond that, you're not going to make it and all of that. So I think it's very important, I think, for everyone to realize it's not just the grades that do everything for you. And it's not just how you are in your curriculum and all of that. I think it's your character and how you pull yourself and push yourself through things and, grab opportunities, and that's how it works. So I picked EY. So I got a role in EY in Bangalore. It was an offshore unit. Yeah, I told my parents now I'm going to move to Bangalore, and it's going to be a new thing. And he was supportive. So I went in 2013 December. I cleared in 2013 May, and 2013 December I went to Bangalore. One of my sisters was in Bangalore and they found me. So it is just there was someone around. Yeah, I got settled in and got a house and rent and all of that. And was getting married the same like in a few months' time, and 2014 January I got married and all of that. So I was sitting in a team where Ireland was offshoring to us, and it was audit in financial services. I'd say financial services has been a very growing industry. So yeah, I think that people do have their inhibitions about outsourced, jobs, but again, it's the same like we do audit corporates. It's financial services audit. So yeah, the reason for me to join that was also, because I had heard that you get opportunities to, walk out of the country and all of that, and it was kind of intriguing. And then a lot of people, while I was there, were going for short-term opportunities, so 3 months, 6 months, they're going to different countries, to in US, to UK, London, and to other European countries. There was this one time where there was an opportunity for a long-term, like a secondment to Ireland, and it was going to be for 2 years. So I heard that people from our team were interviewing since 2 months or probably a year or more, and it somehow wasn't going through. And then when I heard that I've been selected for interviewing, so that was a big thing. I was like, okay, that's my goal now. So I started working towards that. I started preparing myself for the interview, soft skills, and going through a lot of things on the net, and trying to prepare myself for soft skills questions, and then for technical questions, and leveraging out of the work that I'm doing and all that. So I took a while to really prepare myself. And then, I interviewed and I was selected, and it all happened, well. And at the time, my husband was like, I don't know how it'll be, because if you go, then I'll have to go, and then I'll have to look for a job and all of that. And he's like, why don't you go for a short-term opportunity? Just go for 3 months or 6 months and get back. And I was like, no, I don't think that's the way to work, because both of us should go together. And somehow I convinced him, like, okay, it won't be 2 years. I'll talk to them and I'll make, I'll go for 1.5 years, and 18 months. If we don't like it, just come back. It took a lot of persuasion. He was like, okay. He was he's still so in an airlines job. I was like, everywhere in the airport. So you get a job everywhere in goes. So again, I'd say it's a lot of things which, like, my parents supported me. My husband was like, okay, fine, go for it. And he was willing to leave his job over here for me and then join me here. So yeah, things worked out, and I was like, okay, I was very excited. And again, Ireland is an English-speaking country. It's like I didn't have to learn a new language. So that was a big, boost for me. I was like, okay, it just fits well. So yeah, in 2016, February, that's when I came here. My husband had some notice in his also, so it would be a few months until when he could join me. So it was going to be my first international trip. I was coming here all alone. I was so nervous in the airport, or rather when I was literally just going towards to the airplane before taking the flight. I was looking at my husband, and he was like, and the last night when I saw him and when he was gone, I was like, he's gone. And I was like, I'm now all alone, and I'm going to a new country, and I don't know anyone over there. Like I knew EY had arranged for someone to pick me up from there. I didn't have a SIM card, an Irish SIM card to go there and switch it on and be available and stuff. So I was literally like, what if he's not there? I'm just, I'm going to be lost and I wouldn't know what to do out of that. So I was so scared. So I sat in the plane, I landed, and when I came out, I was so scared and looking around. And then I saw my name tag, someone holding that and standing over there. I was like, I literally ran to that person because I'm doing. Then I was taken to the company accommodation. I stayed over there for a month. Now I'll take you through the initial phases of my journey in Dublin. This was Dublin that I landed in. I was dropped at the accommodation. It was a beautiful accommodation. Like it was 2 bed. It had a big living room and a big screen, a really big screen, which was like a virtual screen. So not like a TV. It had like a kind of a curtain, and then there was a projector, and that's how you watch this. So I was like, wow, this is luxury. And then there was a piano over there, a dining space, and then it led to a balcony. It was like luxury, and I was like, wow, this is my dream house. And so yeah, I was in this luxurious apartment, and then it was on the fourth floor. And I had gone in the month of February, I think it was 13th of February 2016 that I landed. And it was a really cold day. And I was looking down from the balcony and I'm like, wow, this is so pretty, so beautiful, and everything. And the apartment was beautiful. But I was all alone. So I was listening to my family, I was listening to my husband, and then I was listening to my parents and mom and dad. But yeah. And I was scared. So because it was a new country, a new culture, a new kind of setup. So the company had provided me the accommodation for a month, and thereafter I had to look for my own accommodation in that time. So I remember for that entire month when I was sleeping, I used to lock that room that I was sleeping in and lock all the windows and everything, and then sleep. So I was so scared because I was alone in a new country. I didn't know what's what of anything. So that's the kind of scare, that's the kind of mindset I was living with. And then challenges when you literally shift base from one country to another.
I have just a small question here. You said before that to your family that you will come here just for 1.5 years. But now
Yeah.
you are there.
Yeah. So I think what happens is once you move and once you find a job. So my husband he came here in April, like around the end of April, so 3 months later, or 3.5 months later. Thereafter, he was looking for his residence permit and all of that. I had come over here on a critical skills permit because I'm a chartered accountant, and that's a skill which is included in the critical skills permit here. And what the critical skills permit does is that it gives you the permission to live here and work here for 2 years without being... The first time when you come here for the critical skills permit, you have to be with the same company. If the company sponsors you, and it brought you here for 2 years, and thereafter, you have to renew your permit, and then that's when you get a work permit, a stamp for. I had permission to work over here with the company that I was here with. Now, my husband, he came on a joint family visa, so he did struggle with finding a job. But once he did, during the end of the year, he found a job, similar to what he was doing back in India. And, once you find your place and you're living here for over like 18 months, then it's different because you're seeing a new life, you want to explore more, and you've just settled in, and then again, moving back again, the hassle of looking for a new job, new things. So we're like, we're okay for now. Let's just get this extended. That's when my company supported me. Partner over there, he extended my stay over there for 18 months for another 6 months. And then I was eligible for a stamp for, and I applied, and we've just been here. So I think it's a lot to do with us having settled here, earning in a different currency than ours, which is a way stronger currency. And then again, this is a developed nation. It has its own perks and its downfalls. But we had found a place here. We had kind of settled, and it was working good for us. We found a point at the time, and then we weren't thinking of again reshuffling and redoing things. So we were just okay where we were as well. So I think we were more like, okay, let's just be here and let's just explore. I think doing that, we've just been here. So we haven't really thought much on this.
It's a kind of
Yeah.
exploring and enjoying.
Yeah. But when you're moving country, it has its own challenges. There's like so much. But when you've already faced those challenges and you've settled and you found your ground and you found your place, then you're like, this is it. I've, struggled here and I've done those bits. So let me be here for a while. Let me enjoy it for a while and see what more I can do. So yeah, that's probably kept us going. Mhm.
What challenges you are facing today?
Today. Yeah, challenges are in everyone's life. So again, if you ask me today, it's way different from when I had come here, when I had just come in. If you're talking about challenges, I'll actually start from when I was just a newbie here. But I came here, obviously it was a new culture, new accent. It is an English-speaking country. There's a very different accent. And Irish accent is supposed to be very strong, like very deep accent. In the beginning, I think for a couple of years, I struggled to really gauge the words that were coming out from an Irish guy. So a lot of times, mainly at work, when, someone senior or someone was talking to me, I literally used, I started just following the lips movement, and then I used to be very attentive and I used to try to grab the words and all of that. It's kind of funny, an instance where one of my is a director in one of the companies that I was working in. He came up to me and he was like, Shweta, do you have a min? So I was like, sorry, what? So I said, do you have a sec? So I was like, I didn't get that. Can you repeat? And it went on for another, for 2 more times. And he was like, do you have a sec? I was like, I do? Okay, I'll be in your office in a minute. So the accent is so strong. So now it's like I've kind of got more settled in and used to it. But in the beginning, because it's a new culture, a new place, a new way of doing things, I felt kind of intimidated, or I'd say you already kind of struggled your way and made place for yourself. In my case, it's true. I had just qualified in the CA and I worked there for 2 years. I felt like, okay, I've made my place over there. And then to do it all over again, because you're a new person and no one knows, like, the child accountancy course in India, it usually makes you go through a lot, like, because it's so tough to even clear the exam and that kind of a success rate. And, it's different in other countries is what now I realize, like, the success rate, I think, over here is like 50%, or I think it's more. In many other countries, it's way higher success rate. So the struggles that I've gone through, I still felt like a nobody when I came over here. So even though I'm more qualified and all of that, I had to start all over again. So I had to establish myself, make myself seen, make myself get the confidence to really put myself over there and make people see that I'm, capable and worthy and all that. It's a lot of things. Like, I think when we work in India, it's more like, say if you're a junior or a new person in the firm or something, and say, example of an audit firm or in corporate, is the top of the company, or say a partner in a firm comes up to talk to you. They usually sit in cabins, like who comes up to talk to you, you stand and you dress and by sir, or you give them that respect. But here, what I realized is that everyone owns their ground and everyone has a respect, and like, I must respect everyone's, like, it's not like, if you're a partner, you're like, someone's going to stoop down before you, or if they're expecting someone to do that to them. So I think there's recognition of each and every grade for who you are. So that took me a while to get settled into, and then making my ground. And then I think I came here at the peak of very busy season. So I was in audit, and then I was doing something which I hadn't done before over there. So over there, while in Manilon, working the offshore unit, I was doing bits and parts of the work. And here I had come at the same level, and then I was expected to do everything. And I wasn't probably equipped enough or trained enough for that. Because I hadn't done my articleship in an audit firm, or like I did in a firm, but it wasn't into audit. So I wasn't like, free with everything that you have to do as senior, and I have juniors working with me. There was a lot that I was learning as well as exploring, and there was huge expectation. It was like you could go over mad hours just if you're not sure of what to do and if you aren't equipped with enough. And I think we were on just the team was going through that phase. And I was in that phase when I was doing all of that, plus I was settling in. So I had to keep going in between to look for a place to live in, to rent, because my husband would join me soon and I had to use the company provided accommodation soon. And then I had to get my residence permit over here. There's a PSC card, so I had to open a bank account. So I was doing all of that. And then there was peak busy season and all of that. So it was a lot going on at the same time and settling into the new culture and all. And obviously, I was very distracted with everything that was going on and being in new space. I think one of the times, so I was working late and then it was 12 at night in the office. They were like, okay, we're closing down the office now. So whoever's in office, the office premises were closing at 12 and we had to leave. We were a couple of us. Okay, we go and we continue from home. I remember then at 12, it might have been a Friday or probably midweek. I went to the bus stop and unlike in India, it's very normal here for people to kind of, just wave at you or just pass a smile or, passerbys or sometimes even talk to you. At least it was back then in the place that I was working. The company provided accommodation was like a 30-minute or 40-minute in bus from where I started to when I reached home. So I was standing at the bus stop at 12 midnight, and then there was this person who was coming from that side, and he looked at me and he came towards me, and he's like, "Hi, hi," because it's weird in India for a stranger to talk to you, but it's strangely enough, it's okay over here. That's what I felt. So I was like, okay, he's talking to me. Okay, he's just generally talking, and I was like, I'm finding it weird. I don't even recall when he was talking back then. That was, again, in 2016, I think somewhere around end of February or March or something. And it was very cold as well. No, so this guy, he was like, at one point, she was like, so this is way to be weird. And he was like, are you happy? And I was like, yes, I mean, why not? Are you not? And he was like, do you know what I do for a living? And I was like, I want to be from there. And he was like, I killed. He looked at me. He's a tall, really tall guy. He's very, very shady kind of a look he had. And he was like, he stooped to me and he's like, I killed. And I remember at that point, I literally froze and there was like, there was a chill that ran down my spine. And I literally, I imagined that he's going to kill me and I'm going to be on the road here. It was 12 midnight. It was, I think, at my home, it was 3:30 in the morning. So no one would even know, what happened to me. And I would just, I would die and no one would know. I literally started thinking those things and I was so scared. And I took my phone and I was like, I pretend I had a phone call to make. And he was like, and I was like, okay, I need to call. I need to make a call. I was moving away and he's coming at the back of me. But someone from in the bus stop, they gauged there was something wrong, and they came for the rescue, and they were like, okay, just leave her alone. And there was a lady on the bus stop. She was like, come stand with me and just take the next bus. He's told he's drunk, and that's when I realized, okay, so alcohol is very easily available, and Ireland is the country where I've seen people consume a lot of alcohol. But again, so I think in a city sense, normal for people to be drunk and kind of not everyone, but few of them do, have those kind of traits and get drunk and then just move around the room and act very irresponsibly and all of that. So they knew what was happening. And it was the first for me, and I was so scared. So that's one of the things, just one of the instances I enjoyed here. And then I remember when I used to go home late at night. So the bus used to stop at a particular place, and it was literally all dark over there. It kind of was like a narrow road. And then I had to go out of the road into few lanes. And then I go to the main road, and then there was a key there. And that's where I got in the main road and went to my house. The company provided accommodation. So I remember when I used to get down from late at nights here in Ireland, where it's peak cold, peak winters, and I think between December and up until let's say end of March or mid April, it gets dark very soon. So 4:30, it's literally dark. 5 is and in 4:30 it starts, and then by 5 it's literally so dark. So yeah, a lot of times when I used to go back home late, I remember getting on the bus and the streets are deserted during winters after 5, 6. We normally not see many people around. So I used to come on the bus, and that was the last stop that I was getting on out at. So there were not many people basically on the bus. Sometimes I would be the only person. So I used to come out, look around if there's anyone, and then I used to literally run until I came to the place where there were street lamps and all of that. So I used to look at the back to see if someone's there. I was so scared. So I've had those times, where I knew I'm alone over here, but then I have to keep going. I just have to keep going. And so one time I reached home and I've locked my door. This is also funny. I used to look around the house to see if the house is empty. This is another funny thing because I've been out all day and all of that. So I was carrying those fears and all of those things, And then I moved mid-March, that I had to move to my own, to my apartment, my rented out apartment, which again, I chose something that was closer to my office at the time, and somewhere where my husband would join me after a few months. But sorry, so in between there was a phase, like I couldn't find my permanent accommodation until then. Like it was short notice, and then there was so much to look at, and I had to consider the rent and all of that. I moved into a temporary accommodation because I knew my husband wasn't joining me then, so I had to fill up like a 2.5 months gap. And then somewhere more temporary, it wouldn't make sense to, live in a one-bed apartment. It would be very expensive. So I agreed to live in a sharing. And it's the first time in life that I was sharing an apartment with someone else. There are a lot of Indian groups like on Facebook, Accommodation in Dublin or Indians in Ireland or Indians in Dublin, those kind of groups. I saw somewhere where a girl was looking for someone to share the apartment, and then I approached, and that's how I got that one. But now this one was a very shady apartment. So you enter the house, and it was a very small apartment. There was a living room, and there were 2 rooms. So one of the rooms was there was steps, and then it led to a room, but then that was like an attic room kind of thing. So that was a weird one. Then the room that I had, it was again a really small room, and then it had like Velux windows. So it's pronounced differently, I think. So, but the spelling is ANBE anyway. So they're like big, like a really big window which can open from the roof. So it was like a short room, and then that the Velux window was there. So there was a lot of light, but at night I used to struggle to sleep because when I look out, it's like I can see the clouds. Or literally, a lot of times there was wind blowing, and it used to feel like, there was a howling sound coming through, and I was like, there's weird kind of sounds because of the wind. My roommate, she was she was in a distance. We had just met, so it wouldn't be like, I'm feeling scared, can I come to your room or something? So it was open now. So yeah, it was, a lot of times there were birds, like, would come and sit at the sound of them. It was I knew where I am, and I was so scared again. And so, yeah, all of that. Yeah.
Like really great challenges you have faced. From outside, it looks like amazing life. Like you're from India.
Yeah.
Went to the.
Yeah. Yeah. When people in India, when they're talking about, okay, someone's moved out of country, all they think is, oh, they're having a lovely life. They're having such a great party life. They're just partying. They're just having fun and, earning money and all that. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of things that you have to, live through, and you have to be ready for those challenges. Like, again, in India, it's so easy to get house help. So all my sisters, we all settled in and, did professional courses or, settled in good jobs. We hired house help and all of that because it was available. So we got to the point where we were working and we had house help. So they won't really come back home and do the dishes or cook for ourselves or, clean the house or something. So we came back home and relaxed and then went back to John next day. But, moving out, we realized that, life was not just about work and sleep and work again. So that's when I realized probably the importance of work-life balance, because, you have to work, come back home, cook, clean your house, make your bed, do the dishes, and then go back to work again. So all these things were you also for me. I think the people who live over here and the students who grow up over here, they're very well equipped with that life, because they need their, they move on the house in an early age, like in their 20s, early 20s, they leave their house and then move somewhere. They live in sharing apartments and they do all this stuff. But it was so new to me. I wasn't prepared or anything. So so because professionally I felt like I'd already done a lot and struggled when, from my place. And now from here, it is literally starting from scratch, establishing myself all the way from the bottom. And then I lived in the sharing apartment for like 2.5 months, living with someone who had a different lifestyle, different way of life. And then, I had no friends because literally I was working and coming home, working and coming home. So, and often they're colleagues. The girl who I was living with, she's a student there, so she has her own group of friends. She bring home and all that. And it was good because I used to interact with her friends as well, so it was a good thing in a way. But, the colleagues that I met in office who were also from India, they were here with their families. So it was mostly like the husband's here and the wife has joined them. They have come together and they were on together. So I mostly had that group that I was hanging out with. So I did feel like, oh, I'm alone over here. My husband's not here, and everyone was with their husbands. And then later he joined me, and then it's been so much more, doing things together and all. But I think it was also in those times because I was so busy with work. I was peak busy season when I came here. I didn't find time a lot of times to talk to my husband or my mom. I've seen those times where, by 7 o'clock here, 7 p.m., it was already midnight when I'm back home. So after that time, the time until I went to bed, that used to be, that used to be a phase that I used to dread. I was like, oh, I want to know that, blah, blah, blah. And so many thoughts and, all right, what am I doing here? Why am I here? Or why am I doing this to myself? And, all those were my thoughts. And
You're well known with the time, like what's time in India when I have to talk to my parents and everything. You will manage that right now, because whenever you was talking to me, he was like, yeah, this is the time in India right now, and you have everything, like you know everything very well.
yeah, because I've lived, it's been now 2016, so it's 7 years now, a little over 7 years. So now I know the time difference around that. So a lot of times when I'd come here, when I was new, I was like, okay, I'll talk to my mom when I'm free after work. And by the time I want to call her, I'm like, oh, it's already post midnight and I'm already missed her calls, or my husband's. And they have no clue of what I'm doing, how I am through the day, and what's been. And I'm all alone over here. I know nobody. I know no one who's my own over here. So those few months, and I think it's tough for everyone who comes here, all alone, or who comes out of country to a new place. Probably it's better. Like a lot of people come as students. I think probably it's slightly better, though they have their own challenges, but probably slightly better because you're finding your friends, students are more like they won't be into a 9 to 5, which means they have time to connect, do all the stuff. But I didn't have the time. So whoever was there, my roommate, I had to consider her my friend, or her friends. I had to consider them my friends because I had no time to make new friends. And again, I think even in office there was like so much pressure, and always the thing to prove yourself and all of that. So yeah, there was just so much.
Yeah. It's a really amazing story. You actually had a lot of challenges, and you are right now here at this place and living 7 years. Like from 7 years, you are here. So, What's your vision for next 3 to 5 years?
At the minute, I'm working here in GT as a manager in financial services. My vision in the next 5 years is not like I've thought of something, but I think what I've learned so far is that it is the favorite statement of mine that hard work and opportunity, both go hand in hand. So it's so important for us to, there's no shortcut in hard work. We just have to, I think everyone says that, and it's a fact that there is no shortcut. You have to keep, and you have to be persistent and resilient and keep doing what you're doing and keep doing it well, keep, improvising. And so for me, I would say to recognize, to keep an eye open for opportunities, which through time, I think I have gauged that, it's so important to have your eyes and ears and all your senses open to any opportunity that you see or that comes your way, as well as to always keep going. I think so hard work is not just, sticking to your laptop or staying to your work and just doing that. I think there's a lot of thought that goes behind your self improvisation and development. So communication is something which is it is being talked of a lot, but connections and communications is just so key. When you're starting out, it's more about, doing your work and performing, but it's also about building the connections, because that helps in many ways, because you're building your connections, you're looking up to people and you're learning from them. And I think for me, it's like personal brand, whether you're in business or you're doing your own, you're in a job, personal branding really matters. It's not just for a business or for a startup or for someone who's doing something of their own. So I feel I always keep looking to working on my personal brand. So what I mean by that is working on my soft skills. I always keep asking for feedback. The way any company is structured, in company or firm is structured is, after you have one season or a busy season or say mid-year, you tend to raise feedback to in those you worked with, especially the seniors, and gather their constructive feedback, what went well and when and what did not go well, what you would have done better, and then, reflect on that and then work on that. So that's very theoretical and that's how it happens. But I also release a lot in getting, in inviting feedback from juniors who I've worked with. The insights that they provide, the way they see things, how supported they felt, that has a lot in it, which we might have skipped, but there's so much to improve on those fronts. And if you can cover on parts, like everything, whatever your juniors have to say, whatever your seniors have to say, and you have to probably be open and not take it very personally. It's something which is not a personal thing, like, people in the engineering do this thing where, that's not what they need. What they need is that, this is how you could have improved. And everyone's doing, giving feedbacks for, so it's not like a criticism. I think initially, in my early days, I probably did not take feedback so, constructive feedback so well, I'd say. So something, if something said you could have done better over here, it's really something like, I would feel bad. Like, obviously I knew I have to work on that, but I was like, why am I being showed by someone else? Or, I'd be like, but I want that, on that side. Why, so I used to feel bad and stuff. But I think through time, I realized that these are the things which really, you can gather and you can kind of build on your personal brand. If you can, cover all of those things, that you've got in your feedback, and then move ahead of that, you have so much that you already, changed about yourself. I think one thing I'd like to say is moving to another country, moving here to Ireland, I think I have transformed on a personal and professional level, I'd say. Because, because earlier it was different. My personality, as I said, in school and all of that, I was always someone with low confidence and, who was a reserved child, and I didn't, approach friends. I used to be an observer and all of that. But I think it's so important to know yourself, to be clear about what you want to do or how you want to present yourselves or take yourself forward. I think that's what I've learned, to build myself as a person and to interact and to collaborate and all of that.
That's a great thing to learn from you. And thank you so much for joining us today. And I think people will learn a lot from your challenges, your life, your journey. They must have enjoyed.